Hello everyone, welcome back to part 3 of the 1.31 Dev Diaries preview. Today we will cover a lot of game balance changes, and we'll start with one of the aspects of game that needs some serious rebalance, the Navy. Navy is that part of the game where you don't really pay a lot of attention to it, right? You just spam a few heavies when you can afford it at some point in game, and that's about it. The devs have been making some changes to the naval side of things in the past few updates, and the progress is good so far. And there are even more changes coming in the next major patch. First big change is to sailors. The amount of sailors needed for a ship is going to change with newer ships. So the more advanced the ship is, the more sailors we will need. Right now, all heavy ships cost 200 sailors to build. In the new patch, the number will change to 900 sailors for the 3-decker, which is the most advanced heavy ship that can be built. That jump from 200 to 900 sailors is big. And same goes for every other ship type. Galleys go from 60 sailors to 180 sailors for the Archipelago frigate. Remember that sailors are also needed to maintain ships when they are not in harbor. This number is 2% of the sailor cost, so currently a 3-decker needs 4 sailors to maintain, while in the new patch it will need 18 sailors to maintain at sea. To compensate for this increased sailors requirement, the number of sailors from each province development will be changed from 30 to 60 sailors. So the number of sailors is going to double, which will help. But the steep increase in sailor requirements for more advanced ships might be a bit too much. Imagine trying to build 250 heavy ships for the naval hegemony. That will be 225,000 sailors to build. Yes, you will slowly build it over time, but you will also need 4,500 sailors every month if you put the ships out of harbor. Or try doing the Grand Armada achievement, which requires 500 heavy ships without loans. That's almost 500,000 sailors. So will we actually have enough sailors to sustain a huge late game navy? We don't know yet, and we'll just have to wait and see till we can play on the new patch. One thing that will definitely change is that the naval strategy will shift from a ducats based economy to a sailors based one, because sailors are going to be the bottleneck. Right now we think twice about upgrading navies because it costs a lot of ducats, but in the next patch we'll have to think if we can afford more sailors to maintain the new ships. The second biggest change is to the naval engagement width. For those who don't know, engagement width is basically how many ships can fight at the same time. The more width you have, the more ships can fire at the enemy. Right now, the base naval engagement width is 25, which you can increase with some modifiers. But in the next patch, this width will change with tech like the land combat width does. I'm guessing it will change with diplotech, so diplotech should be more useful now. The new naval engagement width will range from 5 to 75, which is a lot. This change will have a major impact on naval battles. Additionally, galleys are getting a huge buff as well. They will only require 0.5 engagement width in the next patch. Right now, each ship takes up 1 width, except heavies which take 3. So galleys using only half the width means they will be twice as strong in naval battles. If we do some rough calculations, early Carrack has 20 hull points and 40 cannons, while galleys have 8 hull points and 12 cannons. So if we take a standard naval engagement width of 25, a fight between heavies and galleys will result in 8 heavies fighting, in this case 160 hull points and 320 cannons against 50 galleys with 400 hull points and 600 cannons combined. That is not a fair fight. Of course, building 8 heavies would cost 1,600 sailors and 400 ducats compared to 50 galleys costing 5,000 sailors and 1,000 ducats. So you could argue the sailors and the economic cost favors heavies, at least early game. But imagine an early game Ottoman's navy or even a Venetian navy with all those galleys. Yeah, almost any nation in the Mediterranean in player hands will have naval superiority without any problem. This is a really big change, and it makes galleys only fleet more feasible. And it goes for both Mediterranean and the East Asian seas. It also seems now that the naval speed is going to increase with tech as well, which is a good thing, I think. One big change that I love is that now we will have separate leader pools for admirals. And if you go over admiral leader limit, it will cost diplo points rather than mil points. This is a fantastic change and I love it. Another change is to marines. I know you don't care about them, neither do I, but now they will receive less shock damage penalty and you can make more marines with naval ideas. Couple of other minor changes here. You won't be able to raid the coast of a nation you have truce with, which is actually really helpful. And now the naval power counts towards decreasing liberty desire of overseas subjects, which is a good balance change, I think. Favors are one of the more important parts of diplomacy in game, and favors are the reason why I have the Cossacks DLC high on the DLC tier list. Now it seems favors mechanic will unlock with the new upcoming DLC as well. Yes, the new upcoming expansion is a DLC, it has been confirmed. Additionally, there's a new mechanic of curry favors. Basically, you can use one diplomat to gain favors faster. It sounds like a small change, but the implications are huge. It would really help for small nation starts now. You don't have to wait for 30 years to get 10 favors. So now you can call your big boy ally earlier. We'll see how much curry favors mechanic affects favor generation, but even a little bit would help. I'm excited to see this new mechanic in game. Couple of minor changes to governing cap coming up in the new patch as well. Firstly, now when building governing capacity buildings, we will be able to see how much it will affect the governing cap of the province, which is so good. My god, I wasted so much time in my 3 mountains achievement run just sorting, looking for high dev provinces to build the courthouses and state houses in. You'll also be able to see the governing capacity of your subjects now, which is helpful if you're playing a full vassal game. Here, I would also like to see the full governing cap for annexing a nation, as that helps plan the expansions, but we'll see if that becomes part of the game at some point. Second change here, and this is a weird one. There's a new expand infrastructure button where you can increase the governing cap of the province by 200. That's a flat 200 governing cap cost to a province, and this modifier is not affected by buildings that affect governing capacity. In return, we get +1 building slot and +1 manufactory slot for the province, which is interesting because that implies we can now build 2 manufactories in a province. We don't know what limitations we would have on it because surely building 2 furnaces in a province is very overpowered. You can use this expand infrastructure button on provinces that have at least 15 development, and this infrastructure is destroyed when the province changes ownership. It really seems like this is meant for an ultra tall playstyle, say when you're playing as a tall Netherlands maybe, but even then, the governing cap restrictions mean that you will have to wait for a lot of admin techs before you have that extra 200 governing capacity. It's interesting, and we'll have to wait and see how it plays out in game. There are major changes coming to 3 religions as well. I love when the smaller religions in game get new flavor mechanics, and we have new mechanics coming up for Sikhism, Zoroastrianism, and Totemism. Sikh religion is rarely played in EU4. The game mechanics for Sikhism is that you get a guru for a few years to decades, and these gurus give some modifiers. There's no player control over it though. You just have to play around these preset modifiers. In the new patch, this is going to change. Now you can pick teachings as permanent modifiers. Each guru will give you an option of 3 teachings, and you can only choose one of those. There are 6 slots for them, so you have to choose 6 out of 30 teachings throughout the game. Looking at the list of teachings, there are some strong modifiers in there definitely, but as with every numbers before release, these might change, so we'll look at them when the patch is out. Picking a teaching will cost 50 monarch points, and also each teaching gives -1% missionary strength modifier, which is pretty huge. So basically, if you're playing a Sikh, now you have to go the tolerance route. Zoroastrian campaigns are even rarer because there's only one province currently that starts as Zoroastrian in 1444. I did a Zoroastrian Persia run on Twitch, by the way, for This is Persia achievement, which was a lot of fun. If you are curious about it, an edited version miniseries will be out soon. Make sure you're subscribed here so you don't miss out. In the 1.31 patch, there's going to be an additional Zoroastrian province in India, and you can also get an event which changes the province culture to Parsi, which is also a new culture in game. I'm sure some crazy people are already planning a Zoroastrian Parsi one faith, one culture run. Zoroastrianism also gets a new mechanic like the Coptics, where if you control the holy sites, you get some nice bonuses. Curiously, hedgehogs are considered holy creatures in this religion, so I'm hoping we will see some more pun achievements on it. If you have some new ideas for achievement, post them in comments below. I'll take a look. Along with all of North America, totemism is also getting an upgrade. Now we'll be able to add ancestors as deities, which means you can assign a previous ruler as a deity that provides the bonuses that ruler had as personality traits. I think that is super cool, and I love this idea. Although for totemist nations, the ruler will only have 1 personality trait instead of the normal 3, they will just get a bigger modifier, such as plus 7.5% discipline instead of the usual plus 5. However, once they are deified, the modifier will become smaller. valor. So you cannot stack a plus 7.5% discipline, 10% morale, 20% tech discount, 10% idea cost discount, and well, you get the idea. But I think autonomous nations will still get some really good bonuses, although they will be very RNG dependent on the ruler traits. In total, you can take 10 deities at a time, which is a lot of modifiers. You can even change one out if you want, although that would cause some stability. The final numbers on these modifiers have not been released yet, so we'll see just how overpowered a autonomous nation can get. I'm looking forward to some long playthroughs with the autonomous New World nation in the next patch. And that is all the changes so far the devs have released. I like that there are both flavor changes coming to Southeast Asia and the natives, and there are more significant game mechanics changes as well. If you missed any of the previous videos on Dev Diaries, there's links in description. And before it gets asked in comments, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering about the release date for the expansion. We don't know it yet, unfortunately. I thought it would be out around Christmas holidays, but now I have no idea. We'll just have to wait and see. I'll post an update as soon as it's announced. Till then, you are watching a Radiator's Guide. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you all in the next one.